You're listening to Build with Stacie, where you can hear expert advice and information on everything it takes to build and own land and property. Now, here's Stacie.
Hello. Well, welcome. You are here with Build with Stacie, and this show is Build with Stacie, where we build real estate while building wealth. So I hope everybody's doing well today. And the purpose of this show is to inspire, educate, motivate, and just to give free information, free resources, knowledge that would inspire, motivate, birth some new ideas or whatever it does for someone out there that might be listening to the show, and also the guests that come on here from time to time. They also have free resources and information that they come on to share here, and that's the whole purpose of this show, is to give knowledge out there for those that seek it in the real estate space. And a little bit of background about me: I have been in this market, I would say construction, real estate, lending, this whole arena for over 25 years now. And I started back in my hometown where I grew up. I'm actually an immigrant from Caracas, Venezuela. I came here when I was only, we went back and forth, but I came between 5 and 8 and then settled in the Maryland, Virginia, D.C. area where I grew up, and spent a lot of my years. And right after college, I pretty much just started, I guess by default, started to get into real estate by way of some investors who kind of taught me the game at a young age. So I started doing the financing aspect and the real estate aspect all at once. And it made me very powerful, very knowledgeable at a young age. I've always aspired to be an entrepreneur, just simply because being a daughter of immigrant parents who also struggled, of course, in our country. And I'm sure you guys heard Caracas, Venezuela is all over the news lately. And so it's becoming on the map. But my parents are from Guyana, Georgetown, Guyana. So you've also probably heard that country a lot right now with all the oil and everything going on. With actually my country and my parents' country are at war, which is so weird. But anyway, so we grew up poor, was not wealthy whatsoever. So I've always aspired as a young child to be able to take care of my entire family and as well as myself financially, and to be very wealthy. And I accomplished that. I set forth to do that, and I did that. And I'm one of those people that when I make my mind up, I don't care what it is, it's going to get done, and it has been done. And as I look back, throughout my career, I have accomplished some very, I think, incredible things, being only in my early teens and early 20s, and building mansions, subdivisions. I've accomplished a lot in my early years here in this business, and I have a long way to go. And why a long ways? Because I haven't even hit the surface yet. When I came here into America, like I said, I was very young, just got picked on because of my accent. It was worse then. I mean, I really had a really bad accent to where I got teased at school, and, it wasn't fun, and didn't have the proper clothes and all those things. But all those setbacks or struggles or whatever you want to call it, equipped me with the things that I needed to deal with people and personalities, and you cannot be a weakling in this business as far as I'm concerned. So for those of you out there that aspire to be a builder or a flipper or even in this space in general, because, my hat goes off to all the realtors, the investors, the construction workers, and anyone in the space, because this is not an easy business to be in for several reasons. Because you have a lot of people out there that don't do business well, first of all, and they make it really hard from when you're trying to do the good thing, practice integrity, and just have above board business practices. A lot of contractors out there, and not just contractors, not just general contractors or anyone in the real estate space in general. I'm just saying overall, there's a lot of shady people out here in the world, and that can make anyone's, career and journey much tougher than it needs to be. And today I'm going to share some struggles. Not everything is always glitter and gold. I've had some rough moments. I've had some good moments. I've had some high points in my life and some very low points. And so I want to just share the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I know, my experiences may motivate someone out there, may, educate someone on the do's and the don'ts. So I just want to share a little bit about, I would say, for the most part, when I first started, I started off learning the lending aspect of it first, which was very informative. So in other words, I bought my own home in my 20s, early 20s, and it taught me the whole financing aspect as to what do I need to qualify for a home as a homeowner. And then shortly after that, like literally within a year after that, I bought a second property, and that was an investment property that I ended up leasing to my babysitter, and we had worked something out. But unfortunately, as I said, when you're dealing with people that could set you back, she was a setback for a better comeback, so to speak, because in having that investment property, first of all, it taught me two things. I was already a homeowner, which was great. In my 20s, I had great credit. I had a good job. My background is finance and accounting, so I had some sense to myself. Grew up pretty fast. Didn't really have much of a childhood, in a sense to where I had to adopt my nephew. My nephew was only a few months old, and when he came into my life, and I was only 14, turning 15, and unfortunately, his grandparents couldn't take care for him. His mother abandoned him, and CPS got a hold of him, and I was a mother when I was just a baby myself. So I had to skip all that other stuff about partying and all that other stuff that you do when you not that I was partying at 15, but anyway, I had no business raising a kid at 15. It was my point. And since the Lord, I guess, blessed me with him, and it was my assignment, and I didn't know it then, but I know it now, because having him literally motivated me to just get out there and hustle, and I don't like the word hustle, but work and really work so hard to the core to where I had to provide, for another human being. He wasn't a doll baby. I mean, he was real. And like I said, my parents were not financially capable of feeding another mouth at the time, so they pretty much said, hey, you're on your own. Put on your big girl boots and get out there and go get a job. And that's exactly what I did. And I worked at Pizza Hut. I did whatever I could. Worked at daycares. I did whatever I could. And like I said, I ended up having the wisdom and the courage and the knowledge and the ambition and the determination to go ahead and buy a house, learn how to buy a house, because I just got tired of getting, seeing my parents get, going from pillar to post and this and that. So I wanted a stability for my life, and I also wanted stability for my son, because I adopted him and I raised him as his mother. And you don't have to give birth to someone to be their mother. And so I'm not his biological mother, but I love him just like my daughter. And I do have a daughter biologically, and I love them both the same. And the experience with the rental property for my babysitter, she ended up doing what I call people out there, they use the system. They use the welfare system. They use all kinds of systems for their benefits sometimes. And so then she filed what's called bankruptcy in the midst of an eviction process. And she was an educated crook, I guess. And so she knew how to do that. And when she did that, I had to pay my mortgage and also her mortgage, and still fight her to get her out of there to take over the property and sell it. And it was a struggle. So it took about 6 months. So for those of you out there to have a mortgage, imagine yourself having to pay your mortgage and then your other rental property's mortgage on top of that, just so that you don't lose your credit and just obviously start having issues from that point. And so by the grace of God, I was able to get her out of there by going to court. And it ended up being a violent situation, but I didn't get violent. Her daughter ended up getting violent, but yeah, it got ugly. But anyway, I got my property back, and I sold it, and I made over $100,000, and that was the best decision that I ever made. And being so young with that kind of money, and being mentored by who I was being mentored with, or by rather, they started showing me how to invest in properties, because as I was going through the whole bankruptcy proceedings to get it lifted off of the property to be able to sell it, I had met, like I said, these two angels of mine, and they were already teaching me the game. And so now I had the money to do it. I had them in my ear, I had the knowledge, I had the money, I had the credit, and it was over from there. So at that point, I started buying all kinds of properties. Now, I didn't build, okay? I didn't build. They were not builders. They didn't know how to build. They didn't teach me how to build. They just taught me how to do the financial aspects of the mortgages. So I was a loan officer. I was also a real estate investor to where they showed me how to go buy commercial properties. So we renovated buildings, commercial buildings, multifamily, single family. I mean, just took it down from the stud, took it down to the foundation, did all kinds of creative investing out there in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And if you guys are familiar with that area, real estate is totally different. It's like almost like living in New York and California. It's prime real estate out there. So I wanted to involve, right, because I'm a person that likes to be challenged, right? And so I believe in my mind that I mastered the flip and rental rehab game back in D.C. And not only that, I also became a loan mortgage broker. So I evolved into not just being a loan officer, but opened up my own branch. So now I was a mortgage broker, and I had loan officers under me, killing the game. Then I also had properties that I was buying all over, and then so I decided to go ahead and get married at the time, and my ex-husband's family was from Dallas, Texas, so we decided to move over here to start our new life, and I'm happy that I came. I'm glad to be here because since 2000, I've been able to not only have a mortgage company. At the time when I first came here in 2000, I did start with a mortgage company, but then shortly after that, I evolved into buying land because I was also flipping and doing real estate as well. But I started buying land, and in particular, I bought a lot for my ex-husband and I to build our first home, just so I could learn how to build and not make the mistakes on anybody else's dime but my own. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick break with Chance here, and when we come back, I like to not only go over some more experiences and tell you a little bit more about me, but I also have my partner, my ride or die, my Clyde, and my whatever you want to call it. And you know, he's my rock. You know, he's God sent. I've known this man since 2014. His background has been in sales. He's been working with Grand Homes, who's a builder as well. He has experience with other builders. He has his own consulting firm and does other stuff, a slew of other things on the side. And I just love him. He is very encouraging and supportive, and he gets to see what I've dealt with in the last 2 years of us dating, and he could elaborate on some of the stories that do exist. And I think stuff like this needs to be told, because not everything that glitters is gold. You know, and so yeah. So anyway, Chance, take us on a break. Thank you.
Don't
back. You are here Built with Stacie, where we built real estate and built wealth. And that song was by Foreigner, and it's Urgent. Urgent by Foreigner, and hey, I'm a foreigner, and this foreigner right here wants to tell you that for you newbies out there, you newbies, hey, I just hope that you don't go through the struggles that I've gone through in any way, shape, or form. I hope that they don't steal any of your materials. I hope you don't get any fraudulent liens placed on your properties. I hope you pay your contractors and make sure that they don't, they don't backdoor you by when it's time for you to sell the house. You can't, because now you got all these liens, and the title company say, hey, you can't sell today, you can't close today. And you're like, hey, why not? Oh, well, because such and such has a lien on your property. And it's like, oh, well, I paid such and such. Well, I guess he didn't pay his workers. This business is very interesting, and I feel for those that don't have a coach, don't have the resources or the knowledge or someone to kind of hold them by the hands to kind of guide them through that. And that's what I wish that I had back in the day, because if I could be young and dumb and be a multi-millionaire, okay, be a multi-millionaire, and this is facts and I could prove it, I didn't know what to do with all that money, right? And like I said, my parents were not entrepreneurs. We didn't come from a entrepreneurship background, and so I had no one to instill, the knowledge and or the resources or anything that I needed to know how to not only make the money but how to keep the money. And so if I had the resources that I'm exposed to today and that I have today, I would have been way more financially wealthy, in a better position, not only to help myself and my family, but others. Because, in this space, I provide resources and funding and financial benefits to not only myself, but I support the vendors and all the stores that we buy from, and the contractors that we break bread with, and all the architects and the engineers and the surveyors. So there's a lot of money out there being spent by me. Okay, and so I say all that to say is that my guest here is going to share another perspective, not only from me, but he's here to also let you know, even though we've been associated since 2014, throughout that friendship, he has heard me and my struggles here and there. I definitely didn't open up to him as I did within his last 2 years of us dating, and he's been like hands-on deck and seeing some of the stuff that I go through, on a day-to-day basis. And just to want to say this quick thing, and then I'm going to turn over the mic to my partner here. And just to say that back in the day, right before I was building these mansions and just killing the game when I was just a baby, I was hungry. I was determined. I was hungry, just hungry to make this very successful, because the men just laughed when they saw me and like, oh, what are you doing? This little baby, I'm just going to take advantage of her. And they did, and some of them were still doing it. But the difference is they were doing it when I was dumb, and if they're doing it now that I'm not dumb, they're going to pay for it. And I let a lot of people get away with a lot of things in my career just because I didn't have the energy, the resources, and or the money to fight it. But those days are over ever since the recession. Like I said, I've been a millionaire back in the day. The recession took me under. I was building subdivisions. I came back up. I associated myself with the bad construction manager. I was building over 65 duplexes in a subdivision in Fort Worth called Novella Estates. And those duplexes, again, didn't get to finish it because the contractor, project manager, staff member that I had hired, unfortunately paying him almost 6 figures, actually with the bonuses and everything was 6 figures, but he wasn't satisfied. He was jealous and I guess envious or whatever his problem was. But he actually personally sabotaged the project. I'm going to say it again. Had my computers confiscated by the district attorney's office, and I'm not ashamed to say it because, like I said, my background is in finance and accounting, and so I always kept my books straight. So when they just came in and he had this big old case against me because all the investors went to the DA and said that I spent all the money and I blew the budget and I this and I that and I didn't use the money on the project and this and all that. But I'm not in jail, am I? Okay, so obviously I didn't do anything wrong. And so all the money was spent on the project, and he actually went to jail. And then I started another company from there. So since I've been in Dallas, I've been in this business, this construction business. It's about to be, 2025? I've been in it that long, and I've had 3 businesses. This is my 4th one, and this is going to be my last one because I'm not losing this one. So, Jesse, can you let them know some of the stories that you have not only heard but also witnessed and are actually seeing as of today?
Absolutely, Stacie. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for allowing me to be on the show with you. It is an honor, pleasure, and privilege to be your partner, to have the opportunity to move forward and spend the rest of my life with you. So that is a blessing. This show is Build with Stacie, and what we are doing together, we are building a future together. Yes. And that's the best house we can ever build.
Oh.
With that being said, I love the title of the show. You said the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you said that, it sounded like the Wild Wild West. Mm-hmm. It's like a gunfight out here. It's a gunfight emotionally, physically, financially. You have to be on top of your game. If you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the resources, you don't have all the things that Stacie has spoken highly and profusely about, then you are going to go under. And since my time of dating Stacie in the last 2 years, I've seen a lot of, bad things happen, just to her personally. And you really have to be on top of your A game to understand how to be successful in this business. Like, if you tell people that you're a doctor and you just graduated school to be a doctor and you haven't practiced on anybody, why would anybody allow you to operate and have surgery on them? Does that make sense?
You're not experienced.
You're not experienced. If you tell people you're a mechanic and you want to go and work on someone's car and you haven't even got your license to be a mechanic, why would you tell people that you're a mechanic? It's the same thing as being a builder. You have to understand the foundational principles on how to build, how to invest, how to rehab, all the things that Stacie has spoken about over the period of time on this show. And so with that being said, I've seen, some projects, recently in Fort Worth where we were working with some clients and, some bad things happen, through other people not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. So you cannot count on everybody to do what they're supposed to do, but you have to do things with integrity, right?
Well, you should count on them, but sometimes people don't practice integrity and they're out there doing deceptive business practices, and then it gets, convoluted to where now they're thinking that you're the contractor doing these things, but actually sometimes it could be the subcontractor that's not performing. But as a prime contractor, it's still our responsibility, even if we hire the wrong subs. That's why it's very important that when you're hiring subs and whoever you're, not even subs. I mean, even if you're hiring subs, make sure that they're valid.
You vetted them out.
You vetted them out, mm-hmm. And even if you're going and you're teaming up with mm-hmm. bigger general contractors as prime contractors, you have to vet them out too, because sometimes you could partner up with a bigger fish, and they could be getting you into things that are so polluted and corrupt that when you look up, you might be in jail with some of the stuff that they got you involved in. So you got to be careful who you're working with, because business is like a marriage, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It is an agreement. Mm-hmm. It is an arrangement. It is two parties deciding to do something mm-hmm. for their mutual benefit. And if one party decides to do something totally different than what was discussed in the beginning, mm-hmm. then
breach
it becomes a problem. And that is absolutely, unequivocally, a breach of contract. Yes. And we have some of that going on right now mm-hmm. that we're dealing with.
Yeah, but not only that, that's just like a marriage, and that's the importance of it, is because, just like a marriage, when you're in there, you have these divorce, proceedings that you got to go through, and divorce papers, and, it spells out what he gets, what she gets, and the kids, and all this other nonsense, and the couples are not happy, and they're fighting, they're mad, and they're all these emotions and stuff. And it's the same thing with business when you enter into a business contract, whether with your subcontractor or a prime contractor, general contractor, or in any business that you're out there embarking upon. You got to be careful who you do business with, because, like I said, it can make you or it could break you if they're not doing right by that contract.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I like what you said, Stacie, in the very beginning. You said you've been in a lot of setbacks, and then you come back. And I like to say a setback is a setup for a comeback.
Yes, I may have said it wrong, but you know what I meant.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And not correcting or anything, but when you get knocked down, you don't just stay down, you get up. And I'm just trying to inspire somebody. You cannot quit, because in life, you're going to go through challenges. People are going to tell you that you can't do it. You have to have a mindset that you will win, you will succeed, you will accomplish, but you need to surround yourself with the right team of people. Build with Stacie, her brand. This is the right kind of person. This lady has been through a lot. And trust and believe me, when I tell you a lot, this is an understatement. The fact that she's sitting here today is a testimony of how strong she is in her faith and how strong she is in her resolve and her resiliency to be successful. And, you know, I have a lot of stories that I could tell about me, but this is not about me. This is about Stacie.
And we could share that one story when we actually first started dating. Remember when you had called and I was like going through it, and it was because of balcony in a home that I had built.
Oh, yeah, in Lake Ridge.
In Lake Ridge, at Joe
Yes.
Lake, I had built this house and I had already sold it. And before selling it, it had already leaked like 2 times already.
Yes, I remember.
And I had to demo the balcony, redo it, and then we went through a home inspection and it failed. And so I lost that contract because it failed, and then I had to redo it again.
Yep.
And then I had another situation where the actual homeowners bought the house, and now they're living in the house. And I already did this balcony, and you know, it was 400 square feet balcony. It wasn't even a wraparound. It was just the whole. It wasn't even a really big balcony at that for just 400 square feet, right?
Right.
And so that balcony at 400 square feet, because of the process and the fact that it's a balcony and it's made out of concrete, it cost me $10,000. Okay. And then
Out of your own pocket.
Yeah, because I had already sold the property, but
Yeah.
that was just $10,000 after I sold the property. But that was not even included the money that I already spent. First of all, building the house, and then the contractors, of course. Have to hire the right contractor, because if he would have came back, he was paid. If he would have came back, a right contractor will honor his warranty.
Yes.
You have a defective balcony that's leaking, of course that should be under warranty. You need to bring your butt back over here and fix it, but they don't. And see, that's the bad thing about it is if you don't have a relationship with these contractors, and even if they're referred, like he was referred by someone, and you know, I trusted the source that he came from, so I went ahead and paid him, and then you know, this was after the house was already built.
Correct.
And it leaked. And so then I paid him to come, you know, he specialized in the balcony or whatnot, and still leaked again. He would not come back to fix it. You know, didn't honor his warranty. So when you and I started dating, I had to find another person to do it, and they also messed it up. And I'm like, wait a minute. And they wouldn't come back to do it, and I still owed him a balance. And I'm glad that I didn't pay him his balance, because I took that balance, which was still, I paid half, so I was still out of more money. And then I finally went ahead and hired my roofer that I had a relationship with, because that's the thing. These new people, you never know what you're going to get, right? And I just got tired of dealing with that, so I went to the source, which was my roofer. And my roofer ended up finally fixing it and didn't charge me that much because he understood what was going on. And so that brings me to say that that's just one minor situation that you had experienced that I was dealing with. So I was out about, said and done, about 20 grand on this balcony, and I've already sold the property. So that's just a situation that he's seen me deal with these contractors that are paid and they don't come back to warranty their work. That's one example.
So that we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, that's
that right there is the ugly.
It's
right?
ugly, and it happens all the time.
And it's real ugly. And I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong in this industry,
that's
predicated
one of
on your experience and what you've seen in almost 30 years of building.
And I'm a vet, and this still happens to me, okay?
Exactly.
I'm a vet. I'm a legend. And I wouldn't say legend, but I would say I'm a vet.
No, let me say it. She's a legend.
Well, I wouldn't say legend, but I get that word from him. But I would say a vet because I've been doing it so long, and so you know, another recent situation on a recent project is that I had, if it wasn't for my expertise and or my knowledge, I inherited some jacked up plans that was just, you know, I guess by, I don't know what kind of architects drew that up, but it was a very faulty plans. And it was really narrow when you had all this space, but they built these little houses, and without saying too much or even going into details, you know, the plans were jacked up. The whole project was jacked up. So I came in and I ended up building these houses or whatnot. And if it wasn't for my expertise, these houses could not even be sold, because if the elevations wasn't set properly and it was set the way it was, if I didn't have the knowledge, they would have been trying to sell some homes after I built it. I'd have been long gone.
Correct.
They'd have been trying to sell this inventory, and it was actually $2 million worth of inventory, okay, that they couldn't sell. Right? And guess what? I wouldn't have been sued because your plans are jacked up. So I would have passed the buck to the architect. Like, you sue the architect or sue whoever drew these plans, because it's not my problem. And so,
And rightfully so.
But see, I don't build like that, right? I take any project, every project, all projects, whether it's mine or somebody else's, and I take it on as mine, and that's what you're paying for the experience. And so, if it wasn't for my experience, I wouldn't have known what I knew, and then I would have not built it accordingly and raised the elevations and bringing all this dirt and did what had to be done to make sure that when these investors sell this project after I'm finished building it, it could be insured. Because if you sell this inventory and it's in the flood zone and you can't get flood insurance, guess what? They can't sell that inventory. There's nobody going to buy that house. So these investors would have been stuck with all that inventory that they would have to keep in-house and only been able to rent it. They would never be able to turn that dirt over, ever. And I mean ever. For the lifetime of that house, that $2 million plus inventory that's sitting right there, they would never been able to sell it.
Right, and all that happened because of one word: accountability.
Yes.
And that's a word that's not used quite a bit in today's society. It's people being held accountable. Stacie is an accountable person. With that being said, you want to take a break?
No, we can't. We didn't share much of too many bad stories, but there's a lot to come. Jesse will not be. This will not be his last time coming, and so later on down the road, we will be back again and share some more stories. But yeah,
absolutely.
But for those, I just want to close to say, for those out there that are new into the business, and you're excited, you might be a new realtor, new investor, new builder, whatever you want to call yourselves. Just be cautious out there, okay? Because a lot of times when you're out there and you're teaming up with people, just vet the people that you're teaming up with. And I don't mean, by looking at someone's background and say, oh, she has a domestic case. I'm not talking about domestic stuff, about like assault or nonsense, because I had a domestic. Truth be told, I had a domestic violence case against me dealing with my ex, and guess what? It's domestic, and and obviously, it was my first offense technically, and it was probable cause, truth be told. But at the end of the day, I'm a different person now. I would never let anything provoke me to that point anymore. I just walk away, but not really. Depends on the business aspect. I don't walk away in business problems anymore. I'm going to stand and fight for those. But anyway, as I was saying, make sure you team up with someone and you vet their background. Okay, vet their background in terms of, can they do the job? Okay, can they handle the job? What are the references? Do they come back and warranty their work? Things of that nature. Are they going to pay their subs? Are you going to have lien issues? Vet your people when you're out there. Calling yourselves professionals in whatever aspect that you're in. Because you have a fiduciary duty not only for yourself to stay in business, but also to your client. So if you're going to serve people, serve them right. Don't be out here doing bad business.
Yeah.
And that being said, thank you for listening. We are going to be on this podcast not every week anymore. It's going to be every second Tuesday of the month, starting next month. So for the rest of the year, I'm going to be on this podcast on same time, 11 o'clock. On Tuesday, but the second Tuesdays of every month. And before I close, I just want to give a shout out real quick for those out there that support me and are always chiming in and participating. Thank you, Leston. Thank you, Ms. G. Morales, Eric Freeman, Teddy, Stacie Smith, and I give shout outs later. But thank you guys. You are here, Built with Stacie. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you, Jesse.
Thank you, Stacie.
Sorry.